First thing Bernd said to us as we got in the cars was, I think you're alright to go into race mode, so let's hope he doesn't live to regret that. Don't crash into the back of Bernd! This car is mental! It's absolutely berserk!
Back in the 80s, AMG launched the Hammer, this combination of hot-rodded V8 and Mercedes E-Class saloon, arguably creating the definitive AMG product. Several generations on, we now have the E63 4Matic Plus, keeping the Hammer's spirit alive with a monstrous 612 horsepower version of AMG's 4-litre twin-turbo V8. This S version costs £88,295, or you can have it with a relatively detuned 571 horsepower motor for 10 grand less. The estate version comes later this year too. New to us in the UK is 4Matic 4-wheel drive, perhaps sensible given this much power, but this is still AMG, so if you're feeling suitably macho, you can turn it and all the safety systems off and revert to good old rear-wheel drive. To help us make some sense of it, AMG gave us a track, which was a good idea, and a 5-time DTM champion to show us round, which perhaps wasn't.
Welcome to the Mercedes-AMG E63 S launch here at Portimao circuit. I'm in the pit lane. We're about to follow Bernd Schneider out onto the track in what is loosely described as ducks and drakes. Now, previous experience of these things shows that Bernd's interpretation of ducks and drakes is a little bit loose. He is, after all, multiple DTM champion. Not your average track day instructor, so he tends not to muck about, shall we say. Now, he told us that the first lap was going to be a warm-up lap, so we'll see about that. This is the 612 horsepower version of the E63, the flagship one. All the cars of this generation will be 4Matic 4-wheel drive. This is our first real... Oh, yeah, Berd's off, there we go. Yeah, now we're in warm-up phase. Yeah, this is a warm-up lap in Bernd Schneider language, so not really much in the way of warm-up here, it's just maximum attack. So you'll forgive me if my staggering insight maybe dries up a little bit, because I've got quite a lot to be concentrating on. Bit of understeer through that corner there, and Bernd is gone. You know, this is the instruction style of a DTM champion. Ducks and drakes, you're meant to go slowly and kind of show your pupils the correct line, but for Bernd it's just a chance to clear off into the sunset around this amazing track. Anyway, what can I tell you? So 4Matic in this car means that it's mainly rear-wheel drive until the computers decide that you need a bit of help from the front axle. Sorry, forgive me. So now we're going to enter our... Now we've done our warm-up laps, now we're going to start going properly quickly, apparently. So, anyway, so what was I saying? So 4Matic will send some of the power forwards when required. Now Bernd is in the AMG GT, he's got the conventional version of this 4-litre twin turbo inside out AMG engine. The one in this E63 is actually more exotic than that, because we've got twin scroll turbos rather than the conventional turbos in that engine. So I quite like the fact that AMG puts the fanciest version of its engine in an E-Class, not in its supercar. That's quite cool, I think. So as you can see, with the ESP off in race mode, 4Matic is still relatively keen. Once you get through some initial understeer, to let you have a bit of rear wheel drive. This car is mental. It's absolutely berserk. As you can probably see, under power, it is perfectly willing to throw some relatively serious shapes. Once, there you go. What it must be like in rear-wheel drive mode is only, you can only imagine. But as you can see, if you time it right, it will go fairly sideways. Even with this four-wheel drive chassis right now, grown-ups braking zone here. Don't crash into the back of berms, that would be embarrassing. Don't take the DTM Champions braking point, I think that's probably the tip. Take a line around there, over this crest. We're probably going to go a bit wide, yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to brake a little bit earlier this time. Pedal started to go a bit long now. This car does weigh nearly 2 tons, which is quite a bit heavier than that GT up in head. I hope Bernd likes my curb hopping DTM style there. I've got to say, this engine is unbelievable. It's absolutely epic. Just 4 litres and what a noise, what a car. I love this. There are a lot of modes in this car which I really probably should be talking about, but to be honest, I just went straight to race. I was following Bernd's instructions because he said go straight to race. I think Bernd's really showing me how it's done now, he's not about. Yeah, bye bye Bernd. Been nice knowing you. And there we go. That is Ducks and Drakes instruction, Bernd Schneider style.
So it turns out you can indeed hustle a 2-ton, 600 horsepower plus E-Class round a racetrack, and the 4Matic system does a great job of keeping you facing the right way, most of the time. But what about that drift mode? While Bernd was off having his sarnies, we found a closed-off corner on the circuit and went for a play.
I'm now going to try out the standard 4-wheel drive mode, see how it handles a corner with 612 horsepower and the 4-wheel drive system intact. Has it dumbed down the AMG that we love and love? Oh, look at that. That is the 4-wheel drive system dealing with our 612 horsepower very nicely indeed. So what you saw there, so most of the time it runs in 4-wheel drive. We're sending the power to the rear wheels and then it just sends a bit of power forwards to the front wheels to help balance the car into the corner. And any fears that the car was going to be a bit dumbed down by being 4-wheel drive, I think was probably answered there. It goes very, very nicely into a decent drift for a 4-wheel drive car. So anybody worried that 4-wheel drive is going to dumb down the AMG Magic, you don't need to worry. So now then, let's try this much hyped drift mode. For that I need to be in the race setting. I need to have the gearbox in manual, the ESP off, pull both paddles, confirm drift mode active. Right, so now we have 612 horsepower and just rear wheel drive, so it locks out the 4-wheel drive and we are just rear wheel drive. Now let's see what happens. Chuck it in 3rd gear. That is, I think, safe to say, quite a big drift. Does drift mode live up to the name? I think it probably does, doesn't it? Oh, AMG, I love you.